Hey everybody, how you doing? It's Tim, and today we're talking about 3 steps for triumphing over trauma.
Here's the question. What's going on inside the minds of top achievers that cause them to make extraordinary breakthroughs both personally and professionally? My name is Tim Shurr, and I invite you to join me as we take a deep dive into the unconscious mind and discover how to transform your biggest dreams into a reality. Welcome to the How to Be Mesmerizing podcast.
Hey everybody, it's Tim Shurr. Welcome to our Mesmerizing podcast. And today's an awesome day. I was on Fox News with my friend and client, Kathleen. She lost 150 pounds over the course of 1 year, and we were telling her story. And we talked a lot about the secrets for beating stress eating and how losing weight and eliminating stress eating, emotional eating, binge eating really isn't about eating at all. It really isn't about calories at all. It's about loving ourselves, feeling good about ourselves, making ourselves a priority, making our self-care a priority. That's where it's really all about. And so Kathleen said something really powerful. She said that when she learned to love herself, that's when the weight came off. And that's exactly right. When we learn to love ourselves, that's when the weight comes off. Not, I'll love myself after I've lost the weight. And so, we all have trauma in our life. We all have these negative beliefs, these fears, this critical self-talk that we have. We all do it. And so what we want to do is understand, how do you overcome that? And so today I'm just going to give you an overview. I'm not going to go deep into how to apply the strategies. I'm just going to share what the overview process is for overcoming any kind of trauma in your life, with a small t or a capital T trauma, right? A small t trauma is just the things that we go through where we get a bad grade on a test, or someone makes fun of us, or we get teased, or we don't get picked to be on the team, or, somebody's not there to give us a hug when we need it. These small t traumas. We get embarrassed, we feel humiliated. Big T traumas are when there's some kind of physical, verbal, or emotional abuse, or when something so disturbing, chaotic, or shocking happens in our life that it just totally jolts our system. A bad car accident, getting robbed, being in a combat situation, being in a traumatic accident. There's all kinds of things that can be a big T trauma. So, all right, so what are the 3 steps? Just to really kind of do an overall summary, the big 3 steps are learning how to love yourself, learning how to be compassionate, 100% loving and accepting and reassuring of yourself. It's basically teaching yourself to be kind to you. Now, I've done a lot of seminars over the years, and a lot of leadership seminars, because I teach people how to be mesmerizing leaders. And one strategy that we use is to give compliments to ourselves and to those around us, because it's hard to give compliments to others if you're not giving it to yourself. And if you're not giving it to yourself, it's usually hard for you to compliment others and really be genuine or come across as really being authentic. So what we want to do is, when I'm in a seminar, what I'll do is I'll ask the group, turn to the person next to you and look them right in the eye and say, "You are awesome." And then everybody laughs and they kind of giggle and they say that, right? And the laughter is because a lot of times people feel a little uncomfortable doing that. And so the laughter breaks the tension. Then I'm like, all right, great. Now I want you to look at the same person, look them right in the eye, and then I want you to say, "I'm awesome too." And then we get another laugh, and then people do that. And then I ask the question, now, for how many of you out there did it feel easier to compliment others? And then how many of you felt like it was easier to compliment yourself, right? And then usually I'll say, now, sometimes people have learned how to compliment themselves and others and feel good about it, and that's awesome. That's kind of our end game. Other people feel uncomfortable complimenting anybody. And that's the real issue. When it comes to leadership, it's really about solving our own issues, not just trying to get somebody else to do what you want them to do. If you want to increase discretionary effort and get more out of your people and drive productivity and engagement, your competitive advantage is really shifting your own beliefs and blind spots. It's really about improving your energy, your sense of peace inside, because people feel your energy more than anything else, more than what you say to them. And when you get yourself in a really good place, then people will feed off that energy and they will rise up to that good place as well. So when we are wanting to overcome trauma, small t or big T, or we are wanting to just reduce stress, tension, or worry, the first thing we do is we start to be more compassionate and kind to ourselves. So you ask yourself, hey, am I being nice to myself? Am I being reassuring to myself? Am I using my mind to prepare myself or scare myself? Am I lifting myself up in these uncertain times, or when I've made a mistake, or am I beating myself down? And the reason that answer is important is because it's going to determine what happens next. If you're beating yourself up, then you're probably not going to do very much to fix the situation, to learn from it, to go make things right, to gain the wisdom and let go of the rest so that you can do better next time. That probably doesn't happen when you're beating yourself up, but it can and often will happen when you are forgiving yourself, learning from it, encouraging yourself, trying to make things better, moving forward, focusing on the outcome that you want. And so that kindness and compassion is really, really essential to feeling secure and peaceful in life. Now, the second part of it is, in order to have that, you have to keep an open mind. One of the biggest challenges we have is that we're simply shut down to feedback. We're shut down to the encouragement or coaching or other perspectives of those around us. Now, sometimes we're around people who are saying things that cause us to feel bad or guilty, or they keep it going. It's like you keep picking a scab so much that it never gets to heal because you're always digging into it. And if that's the case, then you need to be open enough to set boundaries in your life, to hang around other people who are going to be more encouraging, reassuring, uplifting, and give you more resourceful feedback. But a lot of times we are the ones that are keeping ourselves held back. It's not other people, it's our story. It's what we're telling ourselves that is holding us back or keeping us stuck. Oh, it won't matter. Oh, I already know what's going to happen. Oh, it didn't change anything last time. That person's an idiot. They're never going to change. I already know what's going to happen. I feel handcuffed. Life is keeping me down. No matter what I do, it's never good enough. It's not going to be enough. I'm not good enough to really make this happen. I don't really deserve to be happy anyway. These are all the negative things that people say to themselves. Now, if you've ever said this to yourself, which you probably have, especially under stress or pressure, or when things aren't going well, I want you to know those aren't your thoughts, because I've had those thoughts too. So they can't be your thoughts if they're my thoughts too. Those are just kind of like universal thoughts and fears that human beings experience. So it's kind of like these thoughts are like a library book. You might be borrowing them, but they're not yours. The library owns it, okay? The human consciousness owns these thoughts. And so they can't be yours. They're just something that you're borrowing. So if they're not fully yours, you don't have to fight so hard to hold on to them. You don't have to fight so hard to reinforce them. I mean, really, think about it. If you're fighting to keep your mind closed, which often we don't think we're doing that. We think we're just dealing with reality, but that is just another way of saying we're keeping ourselves stuck. Reality is, let's find enough solutions so we can solve a problem. That's reality, right? Let's keep our mind open. Your mind is like a parachute. It only properly works when it opens. So the second step is to make sure that you are being open-minded, that you're being coachable, that you are at least having the idea that it is possible to look at the situation in a different way. And if you look at it differently, you will feel differently about it, because your feelings come from your perspective. Change your perspective, you change your feelings. And so if you are really going to have the audacity to say that there is no other way of looking at this situation, then you are in denial, baby. It's not just a river in Egypt, right? You are simply resisting. And resistance is the first step in a breakthrough. So you have resistance, then confusion, because you're letting go of the old, but you haven't really grabbed onto the new belief yet. And then when you finally do, you have that breakthrough, that aha moment. And then you can't really go back because that spell has been broken. And that's where the breakthrough really happens. So step one, we got to be kind. We got to be compassionate. We got to be reassuring and loving and accepting of ourselves. Number one, always. Number two, you got to be open-minded enough to be able to look at something differently, have a different perspective, or to be loving and accepting of yourself. And then three is you have to redirect your focus, because your mind is always going, right? It's always going. And so you have to have the ability of taking whatever thoughts are in your mind and like organizing them in a way that allows you to move in the direction that you want. So when information comes into your mind, you cannot control the thoughts that pop into your mind. Now, you can influence the thoughts that pop into your mind based on the environment you put yourself in. If you're listening to podcasts or encouraging movies or happy music, or you have fragrances that make you feel calm and relaxed and peaceful, or you're hanging around cool people, or you're taking classes or reading books or praying to God, these are amazing influences. Maybe I feel like I should have said praying to God first and then all these other things. Okay, so I just want to put that out there. When you are creating an environment around you that reinforces more peaceful thinking, then you're going to have more peaceful thinking. So, but really when information comes in, what you want to do is you want to take that information and think of information, that word, think of it this way. We're going to say it differently. Okay, instead of information, we're going to say it as information. Okay, we're going to take the thoughts, the information that comes into your brain, and then we're going to say it differently. We're going to say it's in formation. Okay, we're going to take those ideas and we're going to put it in formation, which means that we're going to grab the steering wheel of our mind and we're going to start driving it into the direction that we want to go. Okay, so if you are scared or worrying or feel angry or you feel sick to your stomach, it's because you're not taking that information step. You're not taking the information and guiding it by asking yourself power questions. Power questions are things like, what's the outcome I want right now? How do I want to feel right now? What's one step that I can take that will start to make me feel more secure, more reassured? What can I do right now to make me more open-minded, to look for another perspective? What resources do I have? Who can I lean on for support? Right? These power questions will get you focusing on feeling more compassionate, reassured. Now, here's one thing that will hold people back. The belief that being stressed or scared or angry is the rocket fuel that allows me to crush it, to find solutions, to make those breakthroughs. Anxiety or anger drives me. It's what I use to take action, to take massive action. If I feel really scared or really ticked off, then I use that energy to drive me forward. So it becomes a motivational strategy. The problem with this is that for you to get motivated and really enter a resourceful, in the zone attitude, you have to go torture yourself first. You have to get really angry or really abusive towards yourself or towards others to get motivated. And that sucks. It's a real drain on you and your kidney systems, and it's a real drain on your colon. A lot of guys develop colon cancer or prostate cancer because, they're a tight ass because they're constantly just squeezing down on things in life, and it eventually just kind of turns you into stone, and it breaks us down physically. It also, when you have to get that way, it really affects those around you. If you're doing it as a leader, it's a disaster for your team because you're making your culture one of anxiety and everything's an emergency instead of urgency. And I've seen a lot of leaders do this. A lot of leaders who are fast-moving, fast-talking, fast-driving, and they think this is what made me successful. And maybe for them to get over their issues of inadequacy, they had to be this way. To stand out in their family or for survival, they felt like they had to be this way. Now, there were other ways. There's plenty of other ways, but this is a common one. And as we get older, we're supposed to grow out of that, because what got you here won't get you there. What got you, you being a lunatic in one level won't get you there with your team, because your team's going to hate you, right? Like Steve Jobs was, an innovator, and he knew what he wanted, and he sacrificed just about everything and everyone to create what he wanted, which was an iPad. right? Or an iPod, or the way that people consumed information. However, his personal life was terrible, and the people that worked for him often hated him because of his horrible leadership style, right? So when he died, some people immortalized him and thought he was amazing because they loved Apple products, but the people that worked for him was like, oh my God, this guy was a nightmare. I didn't see my family, they had me working all the time. He was a workaholic, so he made us workaholics. And you got to ask yourself at the end of the day, what's your legacy? Is your legacy a portable piece of electronics that has music? Or is your legacy how many lives you've transformed? And then those people, how much good did those people do? Right? That's the secret sauce. How much good do the people that you lead do in the world? So when I work with companies, one of the things that I love to do is create volunteer days where we organize times. We're going next week with one of my companies back to Gleaner's Food Bank, which is in Indianapolis, the largest food bank center in the state. And it's extraordinary. They go through millions of pounds of food every year for children and adults that don't have enough to eat. I mean, they're a beautiful organization. And so we take a group every single month and go volunteer our services somewhere. And it's very rewarding. So it's not just the good acts that you do, but the people that you lead. What are the good acts that they do? Like my family and I will go and do something at least once a year. We'll do the backpack attack where we're packing backpacks for kids, or we're doing the clothes drive or food drive or gloves for the winter, things like that. So that my kids are in the habit, and my kids are very generous and kind and compassionate. Especially my youngest, he's always giving money that he made through his acting. He's a pretty amazing actor, and so he's always given his own money to people that are on the street, and they just look at him because I don't prompt it at all. He just walks up to him and says, "Here's some money," and just smiles at him, and they just look at me like, who is this kid? And I'm like, I don't know. He's right from God. He's amazing, right? Both of my kids are amazing. My wife's amazing. My little dog's amazing. My son's hamster is amazing. Everyone's amazing, right? You're amazing because you're hanging out with me. You'd be amazing if you weren't hanging out with me. I just don't know if you would know how amazing you really are, how mesmerizing you really are. So I'm glad you're here so I can tell you. So those are the three things, right? You've got to make sure that you are being compassionate and loving to yourself. You got to make sure that you're staying coachable, you're keeping an open mind so that you can ask yourself more empowering questions. And then you have to focus your mind with the information that you're doing, right? Take the thoughts you have and put them in formation. And Zig Ziglar used to say, you can't get rid of the butterflies, but you can make them fly in formation. Right? And so you can use this in a way that's going to empower you and lift you up and help you feel really happy and good about yourself. At the end of the day, that's what it's all about. And so I hope you got some good advice and some good tips as we hang out together on your way to work or on way home from work or whatever it is you're doing right now. But start to use these right away. Stay open-minded. Start to take your thoughts, focus them in a direction that's going to make you feel more reassured. So you're being loving, kind, and compassionate to yourself, which will then allow you to feel that way and act that way towards others. All right, awesome, sweet. I'm off to go listen to an amazing gentleman's story today. He survived 3 or 4 Nazi concentration camps. There's not many people that are still alive that have gone through that experience, and he's going to be at our church telling his story today. I'm going to record that and put that on one of my podcasts so that you can hear it too. I'm really excited to meet him, and it's going to be awesome. So thanks so much for listening. I really appreciate you. Please share this, subscribe to the podcast if you haven't already, and please leave me a review, because those reviews are what take this podcast out into the world so more people can hear the message about how mesmerizing we all are. All right, thanks so much. Make today a sure success, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.
Hey, would you like more free tips on how to be a mesmerizing leader? Then check out mesmerizingleadership.com, and also hang out with me on Facebook, facebook.com/Tim Shurr. Thanks so much, and make your day a sure success.